Alex Haley, who was the great creator of the film Roots, had in his office a painting of a turtle on top of a fence post. And many a person would come into his office and ask him, what was that significant for? What was the meaning? And he said, well, every time I sit at my desk and I think, oh, look at me, I'm a great writer, or wow, I did a really good job. He said, I look at that turtle on the fence post and I realize that there was no way he could have got up there by himself. And I remember that it takes a group of people, and it has taken a group of people, he would go on to say, in my life, to continue to do the kind of things that I'm able to do. Today we're talking about the great tales of mastery and what that means. And I love doing these Sunday talks because I love to look at where I'm at with what I'm speaking about. You know, some of you will say, I look forward to hearing what you have to say today. And I go, so do I. You know, what a concept. But when I think about if there was one component, one quality, one value that I feel has impacted me more as a spiritual person, allowing myself to really be a human, it would be humility. It would be being full of spirit rather than myself. And you'll hear me say that often because I think it's so important, especially in a culture of climbing a ladder and a title makes someone someone. Versus the inner awareness of spirituality is the development of oneself and the mastery of what God can do in our lives. I've heard Oprah say it many times that throughout her life and her career, she simply says, use me up. At the end of my life, I want to be used up. You know, Ricki Byers Beckwith used to be now Ricki Byers. Anyone know her? Okay. Moving along. So when I was in a meeting this week with a group of people at a retreat center, we were talking about the things that had impacted our lives the most. And I said, for me, it was being a softball player. That was what really started that mastery relationship with humility. Because I realized I could hit all the home runs in the world, and I hit a lot of them. Okay? But I realized that I could hit all the home runs in the world, but if the other 8 people were not in the team with me, we wouldn't win the first game. Are you with me? Yes. We wouldn't win the first game. And this week, I would like for you to take the time to either call or email or send a personal note to someone that says, because of you, my life is no longer the same. Say that with me. Because of you, my life is no longer the same. It's so important to realize the lean on me aspect that we call life. And like you, I only hang out with people that are full of spirit, not themselves. Yes? That's important to have that in your boat of people that can remind you that God, through you, all things are possible, and allow that wonderful space. So today, as we're also looking at mastery, we look at the untethered soul. Untethered means no ropes, no chains, no narratives, no stories that keep us locked in to what we remember about ourselves. Are you with me? To be untethered is to be free in so many different ways. And when we look at a personal relationship with our mind and all the voices that go on in our head, and I know some of you probably have more than others, but we have these voices that go on in our head telling us to either leave something or get out of the way or get further in it or prepare ourselves or to do something about it. Does anyone have those voices? Forget Ricky Byers. Do you have those voices? Okay, all right. Yes, we do. But we tend to identify ourselves that voice in our mind is us. It's not. We are simply the listener. Everybody breathe? We are simply the listener. It's not our voice that we hear all this stuff going through our mind. What are you going to do? What's going to happen? How long is she going to talk today? Where's Reverend Kathy? Blah, blah, blah. All the things going on in our minds. That's not our voice. We are simply the listener. So when we have situations that we feel ourselves overwhelmed, a lot of data coming through us, we're overworking to figure something out. We activate the adrenals and the stress faculty and all those kind of things. You can simply, just by action of exercise, walk away and decide what you want to listen to. Did you feel the empowerment with that? Yeah. And you only entertain that which you want to hear, which would be anything is possible, be open, maybe time to go take a breath, maybe time to pray, maybe time to be quiet. But where we cross over into a new place of a different kind of stress is when we take all this going on in our mind. We have data coming at us all the time. Now let me highlight something for you that I've found, and let's see if you found it to be true as well. Since post-COVID, it impacts us more than it used to. Since post-COVID, it impacts us more than it used to because we got out of the practice of a lot of things going on in our head at one time, because what were you going to figure out with COVID? Whether to wear a mask or not, whether to talk to someone on the phone or not. All the data that we have going through our mind to prep us, prepare us, etc., we stopped doing because we had so much quiet. Is this working for you? And so now it feels like a whole lot. It's like when you've been in silence for a while and then you go into a place that's noisy, right? It's like you really notice it, where before you probably dealt with it all the time. So I just wanted you to make that mental note within yourself so that you can have that awareness of what it's like now for us. We must realize that we're in basic training all over again. We're learning how to participate in life. We're learning how to trust life. In other words, how long, a year and a half, did you say, well, I hope we can get together, but we'll see? Anybody? I'm planning on coming, but I'm not sure. Right? So we're activating now in mastery our faculty to be able to make a commitment again and stick with it. To be able to say we're going to do something and know that we can trust that we actually can. We're learning new, and I feel it's important to recognize that, not to limit us in any way, but to give us ourselves credit that we are one of the only groups in history that have ever had to learn, and relearn all over again who we are. The excitement about it is a lot of things you used to do automatically, you may not ever do anymore, right? So for me, when I want to bring into the awareness of busy making in my being, I pull out the knowing within me that says there's one life, that life is God, and that life is my life right now. Say that with me. There's one life, that life is God, and that life is my life right now. There's one life, that life is God, that life is your life right now. So all the people you have on your minds and all the voices going on in your head about all the people that you need to be running their lives, that life is your life right now. There's one life, and that life is God. And then there's one life, and that life is God, and that life is our life right now. That brings in that interconnected, woven fabric. So technically where we are is that a lot of you probably remember what it was like, I'm trusting that you do, when you were learning to drive a car. Did anybody just jump behind the wheel and you never had any issues whatsoever? I do not want you to raise your hand if you did. Very few people do. Okay, we can be happy for you. It's okay. Because we're full of spirit, not ourselves. It's all right. But very few people were able to do that. Talk about so much to think about at one time, yes? Think about so much going on in our minds and in our hearts of, you got to look in the rearview mirror and you got to look at the side and you got to see who's over here and you got to watch out for that blind spot and then you got to push the gas. And for us with clutches, forget it. People would not ride with me for about 5 years. I mean, because it was messy. It was just way too much to focus on. Right? It's only been recently that I've actually mastered driving an automobile. It's a lot to think in, but at first it had to be manual thought, and then it became somewhat automatic. And that's the tell of mastery, is because we are at a time right now, it's one of the greatest moments that we've ever lived, because you get to choose what you want to listen to that's coming through here. And you get to handpick what you will focus on. Yes? And align with that. Eric Butterworth said in The Power Within You, and discover the power within you is the correct way of saying that. He said that we are made in the image and likeness of God, but it is up to us to restore and renew. That we are made, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I'm not supposed to build a condominium there. That I am to restore my soul. I am to keep my soul untethered. We had an example here Friday night because we were showing a movie, Heal, right? We were featuring Rob Morgan. He was in the film. And we were showing the film, and we had a number of new people here because we had handed it out at the Solstice booth. And so we're so excited, me, BB, Michael. Michael's been here all afternoon. We got here real early. We're welcoming the people. We're so excited about the film. 7 o'clock comes, 7 o'clock went. Film will not work. Film will not work. It will not work. It will not work. And the minutes go by and they go by and they go by and they go by. And it's 7:15 and it's 7:20 and still no film. What was required of me was to pick the voice I wanted to listen to. I could listen to the voice that says, these people are going to be upset and we'll never see them again. I could listen to the voice of, why didn't we know this? I listened to a voice that said, Temple, become untethered. Become untethered. Hold in your mind that everybody here understands the other part of technology. And everybody here will understand that. And in that quiet, which is what we have happen, there's this new idea that bursts when we're not thinking the voice in our mind is our own. See, I don't know about you. I have to elaborate on this because this can get you. Am I right? And so when I realize I'm just listening and I'm picking and choosing, I got the idea for the rest of the year, all of you that are here tonight can come to every movie at no charge. And they were like, oh, thank you. And then somebody said, well, since we're all here, Temple, tell us about Rob and his work. And so I began to talk about Rob and his work and what he does and how he became a healer. And the movie started. The movie started. It's a story about our lives of mastery. What movie do you want to play? Because if you feed the voices in your head, all those people, there's a lot of people living in there. You understand? And we don't mind you talking to yourself, but when you start talking out loud to all those people, it's scary, okay? But you can pick, I'm listening to this. This is who I am. This is what I believe. This is what I know. This is my truth. And this is the movie that's going to play. I am made in the image and likeness of God. Today is a brand new day. Many a person would go to Raymond Charles Barker. He was a famous religious science minister in New York. And they would go to him and start complaining about this and what happened the other day and what happened the other day. And he would always say, yesterday ended last night. Say that out loud with me. Yesterday ended last night. And he would say, who are you going to be? You don't have the same needs. You don't have the same ideas, the same psychology. You are a brand new day. What do you want the movie to be, and what are the thoughts you're listening to and feeding and calling people and telling them about? The brand new, the awareness. I mean, to me, this is the art of the unity teaching. This is the reason that unity has saved so many people's lives or given them their lives back. This is the reason that people will hear a diagnosis but not believe the outcome. This is the reason that people will hear, oh, you've had hard times, so just get used to it. And they go, no, my listening says hard times have prepared me for the mastery of greatness. Yes. And so it's learning that. A beloved friend of mine was talking to me last week. People sometimes will give me ideas of things like, well, that would be fun to put in your talk. So she was saying the art of when you see a lizard that no longer has its tail. You have seen a lizard that, thank you. Ricky Byers has a lizard that doesn't have, no. I believe spirituality is fun. I mean, otherwise, what's the point? Anyway, so a lizard without its tail. Often we go, or we think, oh, is it dead? Often they lose their tail to survive. They play dead, right? And the other thing is many of them can grow their tail back. Well, what's that have to do with us? On occasion, we lose our tail. Don't we? We're a reptilian. We lose our tail. We lose something that we thought had tremendous value for us. But like the lizard, we don't need to keep wondering what's going to happen. We need to allow ourselves to step into the fact of who we are in our becoming. That is the unity method. That is the reason Charles Fillmore's leg, the doctor said, you had the motorcycle accident, you're always going to limp, your leg is this much shorter than the other leg. Charles Fillmore said, I don't believe any of this stuff. I'm a scientist, which simply means I want to prove this stuff. It fascinates me sometime in all the years I've been in unity, when the least thing happens, people don't push unity to the test. They go, oh, well, I've been doing this, hanging out with all these fun people, but I got to go get some kind of insight. I got to become somebody other than me. No, that is the time you put unity to the test in your finances, in your health, in your awareness, in your relationship. You open up, not to focus onto the tail that you have lost, and not to create a tail, another kind of tail that does not fit your mastery, but to open up to new spaces. You want to look at that coming through in your head, telling you all this stuff and all this data of limitations, and you want to say, absolutely no. Absolutely no. Get off the cross, honey. They need the wood. You want to stand in that energy and say, here I am, law, here I am, Lord, brand new day, and I am claiming a whole new listening for me. Are you with me? Yes. And so that being said, I was teaching stress management for a number of years on the road, and my brother, it thrilled me to pieces because he actually called me and asked me my opinion. I was like, wow, excuse me, let me make sure I've got this right. You're asking me my opinion. He said, I have this issue, and I feel like you could really help me out. He said, Temple, he said, every day now, since Dad has got more cows in the farm, every day he comes and he stops by the house and he says, Nelson, get in the truck with me. I need you to go help me a few minutes. And he said, I don't know what to do. I waited all my adult life for him to even want to hang out with me. And he said, and I don't know, what do I do? I said, well, try this. Next time he pulls up in your driveway and he says, come on, Nelson, get in the truck. I need you to go help me with something down there at the farm and count the cows. I want you to say, I'd be happy to. But first, I've got a bunch of wood in the backyard, and I need you to help me move it first, and then I'll go. He said, sis, he hadn't been back since. So our mastery is the ability to say no to the things that we no longer want to feed in our lives to make room for the yeses. And I'm asking you to be willing to be in that spiritual vulnerability, because I'm in it. I'm in it. I mean, we left everything we knew to come here to a foreign land, and where are we, and what's going to happen, and what are we actually going to do with our lives? And it's wild when you've had everything stacked in your calendar, and you just have a mission, and you're so important, and you know everything, blah, blah, blah. You don't know everything. I would never claim that. But I mean, you know everything about the next things you're going to be doing, to a space of creating. What is that? Instead of just filling it with what you've already had. That's where suffering and pain comes from. So I'd like to end today by just sharing this special thing, because another thing of mastery is to pray for everyone. Pray for others, yes? So hold up your hand. So you're going to pray for the people that represent your thumb. Those are the people closest to your heart. You're going to pray for them every day. As Reverend Kathy would say, this is your assignment for the week. You're going to pray for them. You're going to pray for the people that represent your pointer finger. They are the people that have pointed you or currently point you in a direction for your betterment. Wow. The tallest finger, okay, represents the people in tall positions like government, education, spiritual community. Pray for them, that they are true leaders and lead from example, right? The ring finger are people that you are aware of from the depth of your heart, that you are holding their well-being. People that you know that need prayers about their health, about their abundance, about their lives. And the pinky finger, small but mighty, is the pinky promise you make to yourself every day for self-care, self-love. You are only as good to everything else as you are to you and your relationship with the divine. That's how you perceive your entire life, is how deep is your connection to the divine that allows the perception to show the mighty power of life. Pinky finger promise, just so you know, started in Japan. People did not keep that pinky promise, lost their finger. Okay? We're not going to do that at Unity. All right? We don't do things like that. We don't cause self-inflicted pain. However, we do afflict the comfortable, and we offer comfort to the afflicted. But the pinky promise you make to yourself creates the level of mastery and the untethered soul. You matter. You're important. Take care of you so the world can see you as a lighthouse. Thank you for being here today. I appreciate it. Namaste.